Previously we witnessed how they vanished from highways and motel rooms, women with dreams, swallowed by the desert night. Gerald and Charlene Gallego, the couple no one suspected, drove west with death riding shotgun. But every secret road has an end, and for the Gallegos the law was closing in. It started with a phone call, a whisper from a gas station clerk on the edge of Reno. "There's a man here," matches the composite sketch. Detectives have been chasing ghosts, tire tracks, fibers, empty fields.
Like and subscribe.
But 10 digits, a license plate number, were about to turn whispers into handcuffs. When that plate came back registered to a Gerald Armand Gallego, parolee, known for violence, detectives didn't hesitate. What they didn't know was that Charlene was already planning their escape. Agents trailed the van for 2 days, every stop, every motel, every flicker of movement through those tinted windows. The call came on a cold October morning. Charlene walked into a Western Union calm, practiced to send money ahead. Gerald waited in the car, watching, always watching. The moment the teller confirmed her ID, 2 unmarked sedans rolled in. Engines cut, doors slammed. By the time she turned, there was nowhere left to run. She looked back at Gerald one last time and smiled. Charlene sat in that gray room for 6 hours. No lawyer, no tears, just a paper cup of water and the hum of the fluorescent light above her. When the first detective spoke, she didn't flinch. "Charlene, we know what's in that van." At first, she said she was the victim. That Gerald controlled her, that every abduction, every scream was under his command. But investigators had already matched her handwriting on motel registers, her fingerprints on duct tape, her signature on the murder weapons receipts. Charlene's story shifted with every hour, first denial, then tears, then something colder, calculation. She said, "I can tell you where they are, but I want a deal." It was the bargain that would split a nation, a woman who helped lure victims, now trading truth for freedom. By dawn, Charlene was in a police convoy, leading detectives through the Nevada desert. Each mile, another secret buried beneath sand and silence. When they unearthed the first remains, one detective said he heard her whisper, "I told him they'd never find us." Within weeks, prosecutors struck a deal. Charlene would testify against Gerald in exchange for a reduced sentence. She painted him as a monster, a manipulator, a sadist, the architect of every crime. But detectives saw something in her they couldn't unsee. Some said she was broken, others said she was the better liar. The trial began under a media storm, reporters fighting for front row seats, families clutching photographs, and a courtroom that smelled like fear and flashbulbs. Gerald sat there, expressionless, but his eyes, locked on Charlene, burned with something colder than hate. The prosecution called her their key witness. The defense called her the real killer. In court, Charlene described every abduction, the lure, the promise, the trap. Each word she spoke, another nail in Gerald's coffin. But what the cameras didn't show was how many jurors questioned her. How could someone so calm recall so much evil without flinching? Imagine being that parent, giving your child everything, education, opportunities, love, and then watching her become this, a serial killer. Think about every time you've been approached by a friendly stranger, someone asking for directions, someone needing help. You never think that person could be a killer. Brenda and Sandra's families reported them missing. Police listed them as runaways.
Like and subscribe.
June 6, 1980, Southern Oregon, a beautiful summer day. Gerald and Charlene are on their honeymoon, driving down the highway, enjoying the scenery. They see a young woman hitchhiking. Linda Teresa Aguilar, 21 years old and 4 months pregnant. Imagine being that pregnant woman, thumb out, hopping for a ride, seeing a couple, a man and a woman, stop, thinking this is safe, it's a couple. That decision cost her everything. Gallego raped, strangled, and bludgeoned her with a rock in a remote area. But the horror doesn't end there. Sand found in her lungs would later reveal to authorities that she'd also been buried alive. Linda was buried alive, pregnant, beaten, raped, and buried alive, while Gerald and Charlene continued their honeymoon. Miller was ordered out of the car and shot. His body was found near Bass Lake, California. 3 bullets to the head, execution style, and Mary Bate, Gerald took her back to their apartment. Hal Sowers lost his only daughter. She was getting married, planning her future. And in one night, one horrible night, it was all stolen. The couple returned to their apartment with Sowers, where Gerald sexually abused her before taking her to a field in Placer County, California, where he then executed her. 3 weeks later, Mary Bates' body was found in a trench. She was still wearing the formal dress she'd been in when she went missing. The dress she wore on her last date with the man she was going to marry. January 18, 1981. Charlene is in jail and she gives birth to a son. Think about that baby, born in jail. His mother a serial killer, his father a monster, raised by grandparents who have to explain that. Charlene Williams delivered a baby while in jail on Jan 18, 1981. That child is in his 40s now. Does he know? How does he live with it? They have Charlene, they have Gerald, they have bodies, but they need a conviction that will stick. And Charlene's lawyer makes them an offer. She'll tell them everything, she'll testify. She'll give them Gerald on a silver platter. In exchange, 16 years, 8 months. Not life, not death, just 16 years, 8 months. Prosecutors eventually convinced Charlene to testify against Gerald for a plea deal that reduced her prison sentence to 16 years and 8 months. The families weren't consulted. They found out from the media. Your daughter is raped, tortured, and murdered, and the woman who lured her to that fate gets 16 years. You don't even get a phone call telling you about the deal. After 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned. For her part, 10 years. 10 years for 12 lives. Families called it betrayal. Prosecutors called it justice. The public called it a mistake. Can justice be bargained? Years later, Charlene remarried under a new name, far from the headlines. Gallego found guilty on April 12, 1983, after the jury deliberates for 3 days. Sentenced to death, May 1984, Gerald's second trial in Nevada. Jury takes 2 hours to find him guilty of first-degree murder in June 1984. 2 hours, sentenced to death, again. But Charlene, she sits in her cell counting down the days until freedom. July 17, 1997. Williams released from prison on July 17, 1997, exactly 16 years and 8 months from her arrest. She walks out a free woman, changed her name, got a new identity, disappeared into California. She said she wanted to do the interview so she can help women who are victims of abusive men. After nearly 2 decades of counseling, that is how she sees herself, as a victim rather than a criminal. A victim. Between 1978 and 1980, at least 10 people, most of them teenagers, had their future stolen by 2 people who looked like a normal couple. Rhonda Kippy, Brenda Sandra Stacy, Corinne Linda, Virginia Craig Mary Bate, and possibly Sandra Butler, whose body has never been found. Gerald is dead. He'll never hurt anyone again. But Charlene, she changed her name upon her release and moved to Fair Oaks, California, where it is believed she still resides. She is in her late 60s. She's walking the same streets you walk, shopping at the same stores, living freely, while 10 families live in perpetual hell. Gerald died on death row, never admitting guilt. But in every small town between Sacramento and Reno, people still whisper their names. Some say Charlene was a victim of fear. Others say she learned to use fear as a weapon. Maybe that's the part that still chills us. Because when love and evil mix, the lines blur and monsters look just like us. Next time, the story takes a darker turn. Another couple, another highway. Another promise of love that led to death. How far would you go for someone you love?
In the darkness, whispers become screams, secrets become weapons, and the truth becomes deadly. This is True Crime Mysteries, The Shadow Lens. Every week, we uncover the stories they don't want you to know, disappearances, cold cases, and the mysteries hiding in plain sight. Subscribe now, and step into the shadows with us.